Well, I'm Ranch Jordan, and we purchased a store here at Posey's in October of 2021. Andrew W. Posey was the owner for over 98 years. His son, Randy, was running the store for the past 25 to 30 years, and we purchased it as a family. And the store originally, as it sat here throughout the years, we would come by on our way with my grandparents, and I saw this store and it always intrigued me. And when I saw the for sale sign, I thought, well, I would at least check and see what the price would be. And as we talked with the Poseys, they had several other offers. Several people wanted to purchase the property to turn it into a service station, Quick Mart. And I'm into the restoration. I believe in keeping the old stuff and using it as long as you can. So we took an opportunity to buy the property here at Jasper, Alabama. And when we first got the property, it was in some disarray. The stock was down. But we came in and started the process of restoring Posey's. The big thing was that we wanted to keep it a hardware store and a place where people could come to with their grandchildren and their children and talk about their past here in Jasper. We have a lot of people from all over the United States that come in. They visit and say, well, my grandparents brought me here, my mother and dad brought me here. And so we wanted to keep it as close to the original as possible.
Hello, I'm Randy Posey, fourth generation of the owner of Andrew Posey and Son. This is my wife, Janice Posey. We've been married 49 years. We just sold the store a couple of years ago to Ranch Jordan and his family, who are running the store now, but I want to give you a little history of the store in this video. The store began when my great-grandfather, George Washington Posey, and his son, Andrew Posey, who was my grandfather, bought a small grocery store which was just behind this building in 1924. And at that time, the highway out here was not here. That's Highway 78 at that time was being built. And a few years after they bought the wooden building behind us here, they came up on this corner and built this brick building as the road was being paved. My great-grandparents lived in the back of the store. They had an apartment in the back. They lived there because in those days the roads were pretty bad and you could get home a lot of times out in the country where they lived. So they would stay back here when the weather was bad. So there is an apartment in the back of the store. The store started as a grocery and feed store, and pretty much a full-service feed store. My grandfather was married in 1924 to Jewel Wade, and Jewel and my grandfather and his father, George Washington, ran the store until my great-grandfather, George Washington Posey, died in 1949, I believe it was. Andrew and my dad, Herschel, ran the store from then until my granddad died in 1991, I believe. And I came back here to work in the store in 1977. So I've been in the store 45, 46 years, and Janice has helped me all this time. I was born in 1947, fourth generation. My great-granddad, my granddad, my dad, and me all were raised in the store. But I went to high school, graduated in 1965, went to Auburn, graduated in 1969, and decided I needed to move to the big town of Atlanta. Decided to go over there, worked for about 3 or 4 years, and met Janice. Fortunately, in 1973, we started dating, got married in 1974. A couple of years later,
we both worked for the same company, and that's where we met. And then I went to work for another company, and then 2.5 years later I got pregnant. And when I got pregnant, and after our daughter Peyton was born, Randy said, it's time to move home. So we came over here, we came to Jasper to try to find a place to live. And at that time, there was no place. Jasper was booming. Chicago Bridge and Iron was here. Drummond Coal was expanding everywhere. It was just a real busy place. There was nothing to buy or rent. So we rented a little house out in Boldo, and that was a real change for me to come here from Atlanta and live here. But we built a house, and in 1979 we had our son, who was the 5th generation Posey, and we thought, well, someday he'll take over. And he was named after both grandparents, James Wade Posey. And we worked down here. I would do everything a mother would do, and then I would come and work here some and help, and did it part-time until Randy's parents decided they were going to retire, and they would work a couple days a week and we'd do all the others. And they traveled a lot, and they deserved it. They'd worked here all their lives. So Randy and I were both here working, and then the time came when we decided we needed to retire because our son, at the time, he joined the Army. He was in the airborne and went to Iraq and came back, and he said he wasn't going to take over the store. So we knew at some point we would have to sell it. So we worked as long as we could, way past when we should have worked, because we were in our 70s when we sold it. But we found a wonderful family to buy the store, and the Jordans now own it, and they're doing a great job.
That's right.
Well, I'd like to share with you how we had a dream to buy Posey's. As a young boy, we used to travel from Jefferson County and Minor Heights to Lamar County in Vernon, where my grandparents lived. And every day that we came by, here was Posey sitting on the corner with busy cars and trucks all around the parking lot. And I always had a very strong interest in hardware. So as I was working in the Jasper area, I saw the for sale sign and stopped by one day and talked to Randy about the sale. And at that time, I was not able to purchase the building. I had several rental properties and was just too busy. But as I thought on it and prayed on it, I decided that this would be a great opportunity for the family to put a foothold in Jasper. So after several months of negotiating and selling some of my property to get the money, Randy and Janice decided, rather than selling to a large purchaser, that they would rather sell it to me, because I wanted to keep the Posey's name and the Posey's hardware store open. So the vision behind it was started manifesting itself, and I started having dreams and visions of what the store could be and how I would fix it up. But to fix it up without changing the actual footprint of the store. As I was planning on opening the store, I realized I couldn't run a retail store. So vision came to me of one of my nieces, who I barely knew. It was married into the family, and so we only saw each other on like birthdays or special events. But I had a vision of her running the store and working with us. We went to a birthday party for one of our nephew's children, and Tony was there, and she asked me about, well, do you need somebody to help you work in a garden shop during the summer? And I said, yeah. She said, well, I said, are you looking for a job? And she said, well, no, I was thinking about my daughter. And so I looked at her, and I knew that God had shown me that she was the person to work at the store. I asked her, what about you? And so she was a hair stylist and cut hair, so she thought maybe she could do a barbershop here, which we're going to have. And she said, well, I can work with you until we get ready to put the barbershop in. And as she started in the store, started helping us set the store, put all the new merchandise in, then she realized how much she was enjoying the customers. And she became a real people person. She is the heart of this store. So, you know, in the vision of having a hardware store, the vision of having it as a family-oriented business. Everybody that works here is in the family. There's nobody outside of the family working unless it happens to be Dawson, who is Maggie's boyfriend and fiance. So it's all family. So that's how the dream started, and it became a reality on October the 6th, 2021. As we bought the store, it has aged quite a bit, and there was quite a bit of work to do. First thing we did was to clean the floors and move the stock over to the front of the building. We closed it off and started the restoration by replacing the wood that was rotted in the floor and some in the walls. During that time, we put in a barn door going into the garden shop, and we also replaced the flooring and opened up a supply area. After we'd finished painting and doing all the floors, we had moved into the front of the building, completed the painting on that, reset all the stock with new shelving and all. What we did is we took a entry door, a supply door, and moved it to the back of the building, and we made a 3-foot handicap accessible door on the side of the building, and we constructed it to match the front door entrance. Now we had 2 loading docks and 2 entries into the store. After all the stock had been replaced and put back in a new order, we started picking up on our stock. It took a while, but we eventually got our stock back up. The store was open, and it stayed open during the whole construction process. We never closed the store, and as we've said earlier, during the whole process, the store never closed. It stayed open, and it remained Posey's, which was a blessing to us, and it's lovingly known as Posey's. So the next time you come into Posey's, look around and see what we've done. The exciting part of phase 2 was leveling the floor. We first went out and cut down about 20 40-foot sweet gum trees. Most people don't know, but railroad ties are made out of sweet gum trees. They're very hard material, but they do split. So we had to cut the trees, and then we took them to a sawmill, and we logged them ourselves and took them over to the sawmill and had them cut in various sizes. 10 by 9, 6 foot long, 8 by 9, 6 foot long, 9 by 8, 12 foot long, 6 by 8, 12 foot long, 6 by 6, 12 foot long, and several 4 by 4s, 16 foot long. We took all the timbers and we built our own solar kill drying area. We built them out in the back of the store and put all our material that we had cut and logged into those sheds. And they were there for over 6 months, and average 6 foot, 10 by 10 would weigh about 300 pounds. By the time it dried, it was down to about 200 pounds. Anyway, we got those all ready to go, and we were ready to start building. After the timbers had been kiln dried, we put them into the basement of the store. And as I mentioned earlier, there is a subsection of the building that they used to park vehicles in. And so on one end you have about 7 feet, and on the other end you have about 5 feet. So we came in from the 7-foot section, slid them in on a ramp that we had cut a floor out to allow us to run the long post all the way in. We spent 2 or 3 days moving all the material in and getting it in place. We had already poured some pillar forms, but most of the store, the foundation on the front and one side, was built out of limestone. So all of this limestone was going all the way around the front and the side, but the back and the end were both out of a block. As we got our pillars and everything ready to go in, we had to cut out several of the old pillars. We used an I-beam to hold up the floor with roofing jacks, and then we also had a 22.5 ton hydraulic jack, air over hydraulic, to lift the building. And the excitement of getting down there and leveling the floor was the most exciting thing that we did, as far as I'm concerned. And we started off in the front, lifted it up, put in some new pillars, took the old 4-inch red post out, and we moved across towards the center. As we worked across the center, we finally reached to the back. As we reached the back, we noticed there was quite a bit more wood that had decayed and was rotted out. So that is going to be our phase 3 to replace all of those floor joists. But finishing up and leveling the floor has been very exciting. Well, we've just about completed our structural repairs in the basement. So now we moved on to phase 3, which is the old barbershop, which was in the back of the store. It has an adjoining room, and we are taking the adjoining room and making it a meeting room for different art classes, repairing and fixing furniture, doing certain kinds of quilting, canning, many extension type classes. We also have someone that wants to teach music in that room. And then in the front, off the street, is the barbershop. We're converting it in to a useful space for any type of rental property, whether it be a barbershop or a law office or a clothing store. But we'll use it for some type of rental purpose. And we've taken the doors from this room, the barbershop, and the adjoining room off the front that is part of the store, and we inset the doors to match the doors on the front with glass on one or both sides of the door. And instead of having steps on the sidewalk, now you step into the building and then have no blockage or any kind of step hazards. The second room that we are doing is part of the old store. It is going to have a glass wall separating it from the store. It'll have its own private entrance, and it will be for any type of sales, candies, foods, printing, any type of rental space that would be needed. A nice area for a new starting business. And that's the purpose of what we're doing. This is Posey's Square. It's Posey's Hardware, Bourbonwood Builders. So we're very excited. We've had several people that have already contacted us about moving into the new space. And as soon as it's finished, we'll be ready for our 100-year anniversary. Our centennial celebration, which will be in May of 2024. So we hope you'll all come. We're going to have a lot of activities, a lot of sales. We're going to have music. We're going to have things for the kids. So there's a lot still to come, and hopefully we'll add to this documentary in the future of how the growth has helped stimulate the Jasper area.